Well. Welcome back to They Will Kill You live stream number 2. I have the privilege and the honor today of being joined by my good friend and fraternity brother, Gavin Calciano. You'll also know him as the face of Bored Badger. Say what's up, Gavin.
What's going on, guys? Nice to see everyone. Nice to be with everybody on my first live chat. I know Angelo's now an old pro, but this is my first time doing one of these. Something else.
Pro might be kind of a stretch. It's
You've got one. You have one more than I have.
yeah, exactly. For those of you who don't know, if you're new to these streams, my name is Angelo. I'm the producer of They Will Kill You, and as I said, Gavin is the producer of Bored Badger. You'll have to excuse us in advance because we are still messing with the tech and the software of these things, and we're still kind of getting used to like being on stream and making sure everything's working properly. So if you are having trouble viewing or hearing any of this, please let us know. I've got Renee of World 5 List in the background, holding down the fort, making sure
Our man on the
things run
chair.
smoothly. Yes.
Our man in the chair, holding all the technical things down for us as we
Yes.
navigate this.
Exactly. Okay, let's start out. Today we'll be discussing free speech, but first of all, I just don't want to ignore my subscribers. They're the most important thing to me, and they're the reason why we have this channel. So I'm going to say hello to everyone. Juan Rodriguez, the Raven God, Match Attacks and More, Fortnite Noodle, Nick Productions. I'm not going to be able to scroll through all of these, but I just wanted to send out as many personal hellos as I can. Simon Petrikov, Steve Randerson, Hector Castillo. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, now...
Zachary Miller says it's a little laggy. I don't know if we can do anything about that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that we can do. If it's...
Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, we'll try our best for the next stream. You have to realize there's a lot of software going on behind the scenes in order to make this run smoothly. I don't have one of those fancy computer gaming towers that are made up of like 6 different modems and 8 different processing cards or whatever. But yeah, anyways, today I thought we would discuss free speech on YouTube and how it's been affecting YouTubers, how it's been affecting how people go about things, and my God, I just completely lost my train of thought because I'm so nervous. But basically, I wanted to start this off by saying that these are purely mine and Gavin's opinions, okay? Take it how you may. We may rub people the wrong way. You may agree with some of us. But at the end of the day, don't listen to us. We're just pixels on your computer screen, talking heads, spitting out random noises that may be interpreted as words. Okay, we're not gurus or anything. We're not political masterminds. We're nothing. We're just guys trying to make videos. We've had a
Two
friendship
guys on YouTube.
Exactly. We've had this friendship going on for over 10 years now, and we thought we'd just open up a discussion. And if you guys have any questions or if you agree, disagree, please do let us know. Okay? So, Gavin, let's start out. What are your thoughts right now on the state of YouTube and free speech on this platform?
Mm-hmm. Well, it feels like, and I've been doing this from you all who don't know me, I've been running Bored Badger for about 8 months now, and I launch about 2 to 3 videos a week, and I have been noticing over that time, it feels like the walls are coming in more and more. There's more barriers that we have to deal with as creators when we're navigating what it is that YouTube will allow for us to show. And I'll post things that I think are fairly benign and innocuous, like just, it's hard to even think off the top of my head because I'm also very nervous. But I remember I did a joke about Bill Cosby, and I thought it was quite funny. It was a video about justice being served, and he had a moment of justice being served to him where he had his first meal in prison was actually Jell-O pudding.
That's
which
pretty
is
good.
so apropos for him. And
Oh,
I listed that as one of my stories on a video, and it was completely removed. And I don't know how familiar everyone is with YouTube jargon, but it was confirmed by manual review and taken down. So that means that somebody from YouTube, this isn't their algorithm. It's not some a bunch of numbers going through and looking at different items. It was somebody at their office who saw this joke and said this can't be on YouTube. So whether or not you think that's an offensive joke, it's subjective for sure, but it does feel that we're beginning to have our elbows kind of brushing against some walls with what we're able to say and then still be allowed to be on the platform.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've felt that more so. Not to make such a quick and abrupt transition, but Luciano Gaming, again, you've donated for the second time on stream, and I want to look in the camera and say thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I had this idea, by the way, to if you drop me your email, I will go ahead and send you some exclusive videos that we've made on Patreon that we haven't released to the public. Um, Basically, I feel bad just receiving you guys' money, so I'd like to provide some value back. So again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Anyways, going back to what you were saying, Gavin. Yes, I agree. Like, I don't know if any of you viewers have noticed this, but a lot of the topics these days are kind of dumbed down, and they're kind of like not as risque as I would hope to be, and that's why I've loved a platform like Patreon, is because we can talk about whatever we want. And one thing that you told me months ago when you were starting out, Gavin, that really stuck with me is how you were getting demonetized, and you said, "What the hell? Like, I feel like I could make a video about Care Bears, and that's still going to get demonetized, right?" And I'm sure I speak for both of us where it's not the money that really matters. Of course, it helps because it allows us to keep producing videos, but it's the fact that since YouTube is demonetizing these videos, they're giving us less exposure and pushing our rank down on the platform. Correct?
Yeah, that's frustrating for me. On top of even that, is that these videos they take a lot of time to make, and you put a lot of your heart and soul into creating this thing, and you want people to be able to see it, and so it is a hit emotionally when it gets taken down after you've really poured yourself into a project, and then you just see it ripped away. So that's also for me is one of the frustrating things.
Yeah, exactly. And when this channel was really growing and just gaining subscribers at an exponential rate, a lot of what people liked was that risque stuff that I don't want to necessarily say gory, but it was more edgy. And now, as you said, we have to live within the confines of YouTube's rules.
Hmm.
Yeah. One classic example that I can give about this is during the elections. I made, to stay unbiased, I made two videos. One was anti-Hillary Clinton, and one was anti-Donald Trump. Now, the anti-Clinton video got demonetized and pushed down in the algorithm, whereas the anti-Trump stayed in pristine condition, and YouTube kept promoting it. Like, that's, to me, a classic demonstration of YouTube's biases and how they're really restricting us with what we can say and what we can do.
That's really interesting. You hadn't told me that before. That's wild.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one, okay, so a lot of what I see on the news and the media, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from my experience, I've seen a lot of articles about how big tech companies like Google, YouTube, and Facebook, Twitter are sort of what is it? Shadow banning certain accounts and certain articles that are leaning more towards one side of the political spectrum. And I don't want to delve too much into politics, but what are your thoughts on that?
It does seem that there is there's a motivation is what it would be to push certain viewpoints and to hide other viewpoints. And I know that, for example, Twitter is a place that people are constantly complaining about, that you'll have some people take deplatformed off of Twitter because of their views, and they might have deplorable views or whatever, but there's people on the other side of the political aisle who also have pretty abhorrent things to say. Louis Farrakhan would be a prime example of somebody who has said some things that are pretty controversial, but Twitter doesn't seem to have the desire to remove him in the way that they do for people who are on the opposite side. So it does seem that there's some bias inherent in the platform, and it's their prerogative. They can do what they want. They're a private company, but it doesn't seem that it's completely balanced as far as objectively.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And not to make another quick transition, but Nick Wolf,
I
$20
saw that.
donation. Yeah, show me
Nick
support
Wolf,
to both
my
your
good.
channels. Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. I truly, truly appreciate it. It is very humbling, and I can't thank you enough. Again, guys, Luciano Gaming and Nick Wolf, please shoot me your email, and I will give you guys access to some of our exclusively Patreon videos. Okay, Gav, you want to shout out a thanks?
Well, that actually kind of is a good transition, because it leads us to another part of the topic, which is there may be other platforms that are created that either exist now and grow, or we haven't even been born yet, that might take traffic away from YouTube, because they are places where you can be a little bit more free to say whatever you want and do whatever you want. So that it could be something that we see down the road. And Patreon is a good example. Twitch is another one that they might take a lot of the community that YouTube has, and that's YouTube's number one thing, is they have the most robust community out of any of these video platforms. And if the community starts to leave, then the value of YouTube goes away. So I think that they ought to, in my view, they ought to be more concerned about keeping people happy who are coming to their platform every day to watch content.
Yeah, I agree. And there have been platforms that have attempted this. Like, one platform that we were promoting for a little while was was it D Live? No, DTube. DTube, which is
I remember D2.
yeah, exactly. For the blockchain enthusiasts, you know what I'm talking
Yep.
about. Like,
Yep.
built on the Steam blockchain. We do have some interesting comments here that I'd like to go over. Mason Haggerty, your example with the Clinton versus Trump video shows how the left always has their double standards. Yeah, I agree. Let me see. Gary King, I feel as if freedom of speech is limited more, is not as much as it used to be. Like, I feel back then you can say more than what you can say now. Hashtag they will kill you. I agree, 100%. It's hard to voice out our opinions, and this leads me to a question for you, Gavin. If you didn't feel so confined to YouTube's policies, what are some of the topics you would like to create videos about? Like, what are you more passionate about? What are things, if you could choose, what would you make videos about?
So, well, the first thing I want to give a shout out to Ruben Jordan, who mentioned that Pornhub is one of the platforms that could possibly be a place where the community would go to view content that truly is like unrestricted. But it's funny, but it's true that is a place that people have talked about as being a potential spot where YouTubers could go and post their stuff. So who knows if that'll end up being the case? But Ruben, that you're not wrong. That's been part of the conversation, which is funny. I personally would like to dive deeper into topics as they came up. Like, I don't want to get political on the stream, but as things come up, like, we're pulling out of Syria, I would like to do a video that's 5-10 minutes of like a deep dive into what the hell is going on in Syria. What's been going on there in the last 100 years that led up to where it is now? What's the situation on the ground there? What's our involvement in the United States involvement in Syria? And make a really just detailed and objective video about what's going on there to give my audience, the audience, a better idea of what's happening in the world. I would love to do something like that, but Angela and I have had this conversation. As soon as that drops on the channel, instant flag, and it would be marked for sure. So I'd like to get into things that are a little bit more like topical as far as what's going on in our world, but those can also be controversial things, and they'll be taken down. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing I would do.
Yeah, that's the thing. You risk it going to the YouTube graveyard and YouTube just burying it. Speaking of Syria, I don't know if I mentioned this story to you before, but once I had one of my writers write a script on Syria and what exactly was going on there, because I wanted to educate the world, right? And so I paid him through PayPal, and in the note under the payment, so you can keep track of what it was for, I said Syrian refugee script. And what that did is, since it said Syrian refugee, PayPal flagged it, they froze my account, and they froze the transaction. And then I got an email asking me, where are the Syrian refugees hiding?
What?
Yeah, no joke. And then I had to call them up.
That's bananas.
Yeah. I had to call them up, and I had to explain to them, no, this is a script. I'm a YouTuber. I have a channel. There's a script, and this is my writer's contact info. Here's the video. Here's the script
goodness.
in case you want to see it. It's pretty crazy how they do that. Yeah, and I felt so vulnerable for a good few days because I couldn't pay people.
Yeah. So they shut it all down. That's it's wild just to the amount of monitoring that happens, which is everything we do. Somebody sends you something over PayPal that says something that might be considered, in any way dangerous.
Yeah.
Or misconstrued, and bam, they can take. People are on top of it so quickly.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty alarming, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Scrolling through some of the comments, guys, I apologize if I overlook some of your comments. I'm going to do my best. It's Gotcha Avery XXX. Shout out, please. It will make me happy, but it's okay if not, please. It's Gotcha Avery XXX. Here's a shout out to you. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Gav, why don't you go through some of the comments?
Cody Harmon says, yo, Cody. It's good to see you. We're to point out everyone's just doing question marks. Hey, Devin Carter's got a yo too.
All right. One person that I've really been following a lot lately is Jordan Peterson. And he has this quote that I wrote down that I really liked, and it goes, "Free speech is a mechanism by which we keep our society functioning." And that really was meaningful to me because you see groups, especially in the far left, like Antifa, for example, which stands for those of you who don't know, it stands for anti-fascism. They're the hooligans who dress in all black and put masks on, and then they show up parading and show up with violence and trying to shut down certain speakers, conservative speakers. And what's ironic about this is that they're using violence and noise to drown out their opposition. And if you think about it, the reason why I wanted to discuss this on They Will Kill You is because if you think about it, these anti-fascists are trying to fight opposing ideas through fascist techniques. So it's pretty ridiculous. And I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it's interesting. It does seem like it is actual irony, like a dictionary definition of irony that they call themselves anti-fascist, but they want to shut down the speech of others. And I feel personally that in a healthy debate is good for society, and I think that good ideas typically win out over bad ideas, And there's no idea that I fear. There's no idea out there that scares me so much that I won't dive in and look at it and see what's going on underneath the hood of that idea. And if it's compelling, great, that'll go into my list of things that I agree with. And if it's not, I figure out why, and then I put it in the list of things that I don't agree with. It's interesting. I don't know where everyone, like, we got people I imagine from all over the world, but where Angelo and I are from, I'm from Oregon and Angelo is from Washington State, and the two main cities in those two states are ridden with Antifa style groups. I think they just call themselves they are Antifa, and like Portland and Seattle, they like every time I go up to Portland, there is some sort of protest happening in the downtown area, and I've been there, and there's full on SWAT teams. There's vans that are armored and guys hanging off the side of the vans, SWAT guys. I would guess probably around 10 to each van, cruising down the streets of Portland like it's a war zone, because there's an Antifa there, and it's not all one sided. There's also a group called what are they called? It's
Proud
like
Boys?
I think it is the Proud Boys. Jesse,
I love the
something.
Proud Boys.
Yeah, so they come in from outside of Portland, and I think that like these two groups just like fighting each other. You know, it's like Batman and the Joker. Like they're just gonna fight for all of eternity. And but you go to Portland and you see that there is just so much turmoil there, and it's gone from a place of like, oh, we can discuss this and get to the bottom of what is true and what is not, to no, I'm going to shut you down and what you have to say, because it's violent. Your words are violence, and I disagree.
I would imagine that that's quite a spectacle to see, because
It's crazy.
as you said, yeah, it's like a war zone. People with bats and clubs walking up and down the street and trying to drown each other out, and I don't know. I would imagine that you can see spot some pretty interesting things. Like, have you seen a brawl go down?
I saw a lot of shouting of people like back and forth. We were driving through. I was in an Uber driving through downtown from one side to another, and we happened to drive through a protest, and that's when I saw the vans. And it was like I saw guys screaming at girls, like girls who weren't wearing. It was a girl wearing like a American flag top or something like that, something like not that offensive, but clearly like not part of his tribe. And so a guy was shouting at a girl, and as I was driving by, I didn't get any more context than that. So who knows what happened before, what happened after, but that's what I saw. And it was wild. And seeing the SWAT guys with these it's the helmet with the mask that comes down, and then the batons and the shields and all that. It's you see it on YouTube here and there, but to be downtown Portland and see that going on it's startling.
Yeah. See, when I see that, it makes me hesitant and reluctant to walk down the street at a place like that with, let's say, my parents, or if I had a family with young kids, you wouldn't want to take them there. Like Portland's supposed to be a family-friendly city, and then now that it's overridden like this, like a war zone, it's like, oh, don't go there.
Yeah, and they're having a hard time too. When I was up there, I was reading in one of the local papers that the businesses in the downtown area are really struggling, because there's this Antifa issue, but they also have a pretty bad homelessness issue, as does Seattle. It's a kind of a theme of the Northwest, and so businesses are shutting down and moving out of downtown because nobody feels comfortable. People don't feel comfortable. A jewelry store, if you the business in the actual article that they highlighted was a jewelry store, and you're not going to walk into a jewelry store and spend $2,000 on whatever it is, a bracelet, and then walk out when you know that there's all these people walking around who you don't feel comfortable around because they wear masks and they will heckle you for whatever reason.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that it's just happened in the last 4 years. It seems like this latest election, was the most polarizing we've seen in I don't know how long. Would you agree?
Yeah, it was wild. It's hard to say, because I feel like as we grow older, we're absorbing more and more. So it is does it feel like it's the most polarized because it was, or is it because the one before we were a little bit younger and a little more naive and didn't have as big of a grasp of everything? So to me, it felt the most polarized. But I don't know if we went back 20 years and we looked at a different election like Bush Kerry, would we have felt the same way? It's hard to say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it just seems like there's more and more riots and protests these days. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Like when we were younger, there was also the WTO protests in downtown
totally,
Seattle. Yeah, so that was
totally.
pretty bad. Getting back to some of the comments, original X829, where was it? You asked for a shout out, so here it is, buddy. How you doing? Glad to have you here. Gregory Smith, I think to say that Antifa is a group is a joke. They have no central organization. It's also used as a way to delegitimize leftist movements. 100% agree. Let's see. Zin LME, Zin IME, Antifa group of terrorists. Yep. Nadelis, Pagan Rosario, Wendy, get over here right now. Wendy, wherever you are, get over here. Let's see, Christian Lee. I've been in a firefight where a lot of people got shot and killed, and I've also been in a riot, and the right was just as chaotic the way it went down. Oh, see that? I didn't know that, actually, because a lot of what I watch is just a display of left violence. So that's actually very interesting that the right is just as chaotic.
Yeah, that is certainly the case. The thing is, you don't want to take the YouTube algorithm, what you see in the YouTube algorithm, and take that as an accurate depiction of how things really are on the ground in these places, because YouTube sees what you're clicking on. They know what you like to see. So if you start clicking like Antifa gets owned on your channel, or on your profile rather, then that's what YouTube's going to start serving you. And if you watch that over and over, you'll start to get this confirmation bias that it's only coming from the left. But if we're being honest, there are times too when it comes from the right. It's a dance that takes two, and any violence at all from either side should be renounced and derided.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. And it almost creates an echo chamber, like a self-fulfilling prophecy that puts the same sort of material and same like ideas in your face over and over and over, right?
Yeah, so the term for that is confirmation bias. What that means, confirmation bias, is when somebody seeks out information that reinforces their biases, but then ignores information that disconfirms those biases. So it's important for all of us as members of a society to try and fight those confirmation biases and to look outside of your typical place where you're getting your news, whether you're only looking at the Wall Street Journal or you're only looking at the New York Times. Like mess around, look at different places. Don't just look at Facebook, because Facebook's gonna be the same as YouTube. Is it's just gonna deliver the things that it thinks you want to see, and yeah, listen to people who you don't agree with.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of Wall Street Journal and New York Times, I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
My hair looks ridiculous today. I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
I got a haircut from a new lady. I don't know. I don't think she did a good job. It's this widow's peak. Brutal.
I think you look strapping as always, Gavin.
Thanks, Angelo. I was fishing for a compliment. I needed one right then.
Yeah. Going back to YouTube though, and free speech and your experience as a YouTuber. So we discussed like topics that you would want to talk about. Now, on a more micro level, has this sort of affected the way that you talk about things and your verbiage and the way you deliver your sort of messages? Do you feel like you have to kind of tone it down, or do you still feel like you're free enough to be able to talk the way you want?
No, absolutely not free enough to talk the way that I want. Every line, every sentence that I write of a script, so I write most of the scripts, I'm always concerned with what I think YouTube will allow or won't allow, and that goes not only for the things that I write, in the script that I end up saying, or the even the annotate. I know we don't call them annotations. The what
Lower
are the
thirds.
subtitles? The lower thirds of the video. I'm and I've actually been meaning to ask you about this. We'll do that offline if that is something that YouTube notices. But I'm worried about putting controversial things in the lower third of the screen when it's just words, because I'm nervous that their AI is going to go in and find that and demonetize. So every joke that I craft or every line that I say is done through the frame of, is this going to get through their different restrictions?
Yeah, yeah, and speaking of AI, there's something that I do want to mention about that, but I want to shout out some more people. Cody Harmon, I have to go. Y'all keep doing great content. Cody, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Cody.
Yeah, have a good day. Let me see. You got caught.
We have Krista Ray Barton from Portland, Oregonian. All right. Hey, Krista Ray.
Yeah, Elaine Hinton, well, gotta go. Cannot wait for the next vids from this channel. Thank you for joining us, Elaine.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah, let's see. Excuse me while Ophelia Sutcliffe, how is this live and subtitled? I have no idea. Let me see. I would be interested. Gregory Smith, I would be interested to see how many Oreos either of you could eat in 5 minutes, and I don't think I'm alone in my feelings.
The world's dying to know.
Well, you want to do that next time, Gav?
I don't know, man. I have that trip. I'm going down to Zihuatanejo in 2 months, trying to get cut.
Oh, okay. Well, it's something I would be down to do myself.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, and then you can watch and help keep count. Gregory Smith, great idea. I'm gonna try and do that next time. Okay. Let's see. Future Bulma, get over here, please. Wendy's taking. Why are people talking about Goku and Bulma from Dragon Ball Z?
I don't know. I think something started with something Dragon Ball Z related
Yeah.
while we were talking.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so AI. As you and I both know, and this is to address the hypocrisy of YouTube. Now, as you and I both know, YouTube is constantly working on bots and algorithms and AI to flag certain types of content. And I had a YouTube rep discuss my channel and how we can make it grow and reach a bigger audience. And she said, sorry, I'm just getting a little triggered thinking about it.
It's okay. Breathe.
Yeah, she said, don't focus too much on the revenue. What you have to focus on is giving your viewers a good viewing experience, or giving your subscribers a good viewing experience. And I agree 100%. But when you have 85% of your videos getting demonetized, how is it that you can keep affording to provide that good viewing experience to your subscribers if the costs outweigh what you're earning, right? Especially for someone who lives on this. And then also too, she says, our main priority is a good viewing experience. But an article has come
subjective. What does a good viewing experience even mean? You have millions of people on your platform. What is good to one person is not going to be the good to everyone else. That is a little triggering.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you watch YouTube, what sort of things what sort of factors contribute to your sort of good viewing experience? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, I like kind of like geeky stuff. I watch a lot of debates, and
yeah, me too.
I like watching debates. So I like enjoying like debates or interviews usually with people that I like, and if it's a well thought out conversation, that's what I like. That's for me what I enjoy. But I recognize that most people probably aren't gonna like that. They probably look at that and say you're weird. Like, why do you like these things? And so that's why I think for her to tell you focus on a good viewing experience, like, well, how does that help me? Of course I'm focusing on a good viewing experience. That's what my whole work is moving towards, is trying to make a good viewing experience. You just don't like the the experience that I'm delivering to my audience, and They Will Kill You has a pretty broad audience at this point, so you're doing something right. People like it, so I think it's that is a little frustrating for her to say. And another thing I'll say is that that's clearly just something that, so she's some lady who works at YouTube who has she's on a team and she has a manager, and that manager's probably given her things to say that kind of are generic and are things to placate you a little bit, like the frustrated YouTuber. And so yeah, it's just some generic thing that they're telling their not really salespeople, I don't know, their
Clients.
reps to tell the upset content creators. So yeah, it feels like it's like a cold and like distant thing to, like, bit of advice to give, like not very helpful. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I describe these YouTube reps is that they're just walking FAQs, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's actually really good. That is what they are.
yeah.
They like are slightly more helpful than like a pop down menu that you could look at.
Yeah, and the hypocritical part too is, as I said, they said focus on the good viewing experience when an article has come out by an ex-YouTube engineer talking about how he and the engineering team focused on the YouTube algorithm, and their number one priority that they need to focus on was to increase revenue for the platform, which is crazy because it goes against what any YouTube rep has ever told me,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of viewing experience, guys, viewers, if you're still tuned in, please do let me know how or what we can do next time on this live stream. I'm still just experimenting with this and trying to mix things up and get new people on and trying to connect with you guys above all. So I'm open to any sort of constructive criticism whatsoever. So please let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see from me, what you'd like to see from Gavin. And for those of you who haven't checked him out, I highly recommend Gavin's channel, Bored Badger. His comedic take on things is really, really witty, as he used to be a stand-up comedian. So migrate over there, youtube.com/boredbadger, to go check it out. Anyways, we're going to wrap this up. Gavin, do you have any last words?
No, this was fun. I'm glad we did this. This was all Angelo's idea, so he's the brainchild behind this, and I like it. And if you guys like it, we'll do more, and would love to hear your feedback, because we're always trying to give, what did she say? Give that experience, focus on a good viewing experience. We want to give you guys the best viewing experience possible.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, a few more comments. Gary King says, well, I wasn't here for the first live stream, but I watched the whole thing. Thank you for tuning in, Gary. Michael Sullivan, what other issues will you discuss? Good question. Very, very good question. Next person I'm going to have on is Paul from Pablito's Way. So
it's lagging for me, Angela.
Oh, okay. Well, we're wrapping up. But yeah, please, if there's topics you want us to discuss, please feel free to let me know. I'm open to anything. Let's see. Devin Carter, Joe Osterling, Dave's Pacific Northwest Sasquatch Research. Thank you for joining us. Again, I really appreciate all you guys' support. Thank you, Gavin, for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Take care, everyone.